In a world where many cannot imagine life without a computer or cell phone, there exists a people who cannot imagine life without hunger, death, and extreme poverty. In Limpopo, South Africa, everyday reality includes death from HIV/AIDS as well as hunger, malnutrition, and starvation. In 2009, it was estimated that 5.6 million people in South Africa were living with HIV/AIDS. Amidst the darkness and helplessness, however, there is a desire from deep within the people of Limpopo to know the unconditional love of God. The Sisters of Bon Secours answer this call every day, committed to bringing the healing power of God to the suffering and to cry out against injustice and all that diminishes life on earth. Their mission in Limpopo began in June of 2008, when 4 Sisters of Bon Secours, Sister Mary Limi, Sister Martina Mulcahy, Sister Nora Jimenez, and Sister Rosa Sanchez came to live in Limpopo, South Africa. Sister Mary Limi, a physician in Limpopo, reflects, "The very ill patients have a pleading look in their eyes, hoping that the Romans, as they call us Catholics, can cure them. The response from my heart is to touch them as Jesus touched the outcasts of his time. I examine them gently and prescribe for them as best I can and pray that Jesus' healing will come to them through my hands." In 2010, Bon Secours sisters Vicky, Segura, physician, and Elaine, Davia, nurse practitioner of the United States, traveled half a world away to spend several months in Limpopo assisting in the congregation's healing ministry there. This is their story.
As a physician, it really meant ministering to patients with HIV and AIDS, meaning taking care of the disease when they get diagnosed with HIV and AIDS, and also making sure that they're getting their medications, making sure that they go through lab tests to follow up on what's going on, and also make sure that they get some counseling. I saw a 5-year-old child who I thought will be dead the next 3 weeks. When she came back, she was okay. She was smiling. She was very active. She had her picture taken.
HIV/AIDS has had a devastating effect on South Africa. Today, there are an estimated 1.9 million AIDS orphans living there.
Another one of the goals of South Africa is the care of what they call the orphans. And a definition in South Africa of orphan is any child who has lost one or both parents to AIDS. And it's anticipated that by the end of 2010, there's going to be 20 million children in South Africa who are considered orphans. And now the government has a really good program. Any child that's an orphan, the government has money that's allotted to be given to families that take that child in as an orphan.
UNICEF has commended the government of South Africa for its development of a maternal orphan surveillance system to identify maternal orphans in the country. South Africa has a disproportionate number of orphans. 25% of the children in South Africa have lost one or both parents. This surveillance system has made it possible to ascertain whether the children are benefiting from any social grants. This means that appropriate protection services can be targeted to reach the children. A rising political and economic crisis in Zimbabwe has sent an estimated 2 million people into neighboring South Africa. While in South Africa, Sister Elaine helped prepare and distribute food to the refugees at the parish homeless shelter and traveled throughout local townships handing out food packages.
I can share one piece of that was at the shelter for the Zimbabwe. They were all real serious, so I got one of the young boys that helped us to serve the food to teach me how to say good afternoon in Zimbabwe. The first few times it kind of like just peek up at me, but then after a bit they began to realize what it was I was saying, and it became funny. I mean, once I started saying this with my Virginia accent, they would be laughing because I'm sure it sounded nothing, but then they would respond back.
While Johannesburg is a big modern city, what Sister Elaine Davia saw in the villages was thatched huts, tin walls, and generally poor living conditions. If a resident can dig a ditch, they get electricity. If they can dig a well, they have water. And while life is harsh, family ties are strong.
What the people have, they're used to, and they've had it, and they've got a home, and they have the freedom. But they do a lot of things that I think we don't have in our society because of technology. You know, they sit around and talk for a lot of time. They help each other out. You know, they know how to celebrate, you know, and have, you know, do things fun together. And they're very industrious.
The Sisters of Bon Secours are faithful to God's call and devoted to being good help to those in need. For the sisters, the struggle for a more humane world is not an option. It is an integral part of the gospel, and following in the footsteps of Jesus, they will continue to be responsive to God's creation. The Sisters of Bon Secours invite you to explore their options to live a life in the service of God's people as a vowed religious. Consider humanity's needs and how you can be good help too as a Sister of Bon Secours. The phone call is free. The experience lasts a lifetime.